So Shani, CEO and founder of Jigsaw.io, he spent his career at the forefront of technology, optimization, productivity, and innovation, helping teams cut through the noise and reclaim their most valuable asset, time. He's seen firsthand our work chaos from constantly switching between apps to chasing down information doesn't just slow us down, it has a direct impact on effectivity and our revenue. Or today, he's going to show us how exactly this workhouse is holding us back, and more importantly, how we can eliminate inefficiencies and increase revenue.
Hi, everybody, and thanks for Ilan for inviting us to speak. So just a few words about what we do at Jigsaw. We try to help organizations connect different things, and we call the company Jigsaw because it's like a jigsaw puzzle. Every one of us are trying to connect, so we'll have the big picture and what's going on in our business. We're going to talk about how work chaos prevents growth and how that influences everything we do in our day-to-day. Just a bit about me, father of two amazing daughters and one amazing dog. 15 years as an entrepreneur, mostly in machine learning. I founded Albert AI in 2011. We IPO'd it, then sold it, and now I founded Jigsaw with my CTO in a previous company. So this is kind of our one and only slide. So usually when we talk to clients, this is the only thing we will show. I'm sure most of you guys can resonate with that. And the biggest problem that we have in orgs today is that we have too much. Is it too much apps, too much data, and so on? So it's really hard to get by and actually focus on what's really important. Now, most people will just look at that and say, oh, yeah, because I have Slack, I have Gmail, I have Salesforce, I have a HubSpot, I have DealHub, I have everything here. This is not just the problem. It becomes much more severe over time. Why? Because every time, every day, we have more channels, more information per channel, and more stakeholder over time. So if you start a company today, in a week, in a month, in 3 years, you'll always have more and more data. Now, this is not just Slack, right? This is pretty much every software we're using. Is it Salesforce, HubSpot, your Monday, your Jira, your dashboards, your databases? It's everything, and it's all the time. Does anybody know who coined the term time is money?
Benjamin Franklin.
Okay, Oren from our team, Benjamin Franklin, this is true. You should have supposed to say somebody else, but like, so that's Benjamin Franklin. And the idea is really that the more time we have doing the important stuff, regardless what's the important stuff. Important stuff is being in conferences, having coffee with clients, building dashboard, doesn't matter. The more time we have doing what we're supposed to do, the more money the company can make. This is personal and also organizational. But surveys say that 50% of the time we spend is actually spent on the wrong things, okay? So whether it's data retrieval and preparation, like somebody just said, what managers likes the most, reports. So everybody's in reports all the time. When I create reports and try to get data, I'm texting on Slack to my data guy, oh, can you pull me that information from that client? It's always like that. I'm checking dashboards. So how many of you guys are building dashboards, and maybe most people don't even see them, but we spend tons of time on them. But at the end of the day, the time that left for actual work, and this is surveys that we did, but also McKinsey and IDC, is 50% of the time, okay? And as you can guess, and you know very well, that GTM people make money mostly when they meet clients or interact with clients, whether it's emails, Zoom meetings, whatever, but this is how you make money. Now, this is a very, very big problem. The problem is not about productivity. It's not about, I'm not trying to say you have more time so you can drink more coffee and have more fun, and or you can success individually. This is a company-wide problem. So this is how your CEOs and investors look at all of your companies. So this is a graph that showcases how much revenue an average company will have and how much money they will spend on the cost of employees. And as you can see, for example, let's say a company that makes $25 million in ARR will spend almost $25 million on employees, which is unbelievable. And this is average, and we're talking just about tech companies like most of the companies here. This is not sustainable. This is why people need to raise a lot more money. This is why people need to hire the teams all the time. It becomes very, very hard, very inefficient. And I'm sure that any of the people that sits here that has a CEO, they heard that everybody's trying to be more efficient, save costs, work harder, and so on and so forth. This is a situation today, and this is for mostly successful companies, because companies that are not successful don't even get to that stage. They just die over time. So this is really important, right? So if we fix that, we fix a big thing of it. And the good news, is that this is pretty much the job of RevOps, right? So all the people here are involved with solving that problem. So kudos to you. But what I'm going to try to do is challenge a bit what we're doing today compared to what we should think about doing in the future. So what are we doing today? Number one, dashboarding. So everybody loves dashboarding, right? It's the number one sport for everybody. Why is it a problem? It takes tons of time to configure. So many dashboards, it's hard to know what is what, because you're gonna have for the same thing 15 different dashboards, because they get updated over time, and somebody start off, and the RevOps person is a new person, so he wants to do it differently, and there's a new manager, he wants to do it differently. So there's always, it's hard to know what's real and what's not. 95% of the dashboards are never used. And this is a quote I got from one of the founders of one of the dashboards companies, which I will not name, but this is the actual stat. 95% of the dashboards you guys preparing are never used. And the last piece of it, team needs to be very active. So we had a call, I think that was 2 years ago, with one of the chief customer officers in one of the bigger companies here in Israel. And I asked him, how many dashboards do you have? So he said, I have 220 dashboards. And I was telling him, okay, so who's babysitting them? Who's looking at them? So, oh, the teams are all over them. They have everything they need. I said, okay, give me one team leader and let me talk to that person and ask him if they're actually using the dashboard. He set up the call. It was a guy in New York. I was talking to him. Nobody's using the dashboard. It's the simplest dashboard on earth. And it makes sense, right? Because every dashboard have 4 or 6 graphs on each page, 3 pages, and then you need to sort, filter, time frame, and so on and so forth. Nobody does it. And that's a big, big, big problem. The second thing we love to do is automate, right? So I guess all of you guys do that day in, day out, which is great. But the problem is, and I was just talking to Lior before we started, and she said, oh, I have so much to do. Of course she has so much to do, because the team wants to automate 200 different things. But she needs to do one by one. It just takes time. Or she will bring a bigger team, and then they will do it one by one, and that's a problem. The second thing is it needs updating, right? Because if something changes, something breaks, somebody changed something, it's not working. Now you got to do all over again. And usually not just one, you got to do few things to improve that. Team needs constantly change. Unfortunately, go-to-market team, me included, we're not engineers, right? So we will come to RevOps person and we'll say, oh, I need this report, or I need this automation. And then a week later, we're like, oh, no, my bad. I got to filter it to all just these clients, just EMEA, just whatever, over this deal size, and so on and so forth. It happens all the time. I used to change my Salesforce dashboards through my RevOps in my previous company pretty much every 3 weeks. Because every 3 weeks, I wanted to focus on something different, which makes sense. I want to run the business. I don't care about how much time does it take to set up a report or alert or something of that sort. But that changed all the time. And the last piece of it, which I feel is the biggest pain in this room probably, is the RevOps bottleneck, right? So it all comes to the same place. By the way, it's not just RevOps, it's data team, there are other teams that are involved in that. But that's a big problem, and it's almost impossible to solve. The number 3 thing is just add another tool, right? Which is always a good solution, but it actually holds us back, because now we have another tool that we need to maintain. So finding tools takes a lot of time, right? Integration, doing upkeep and so on takes a lot of time. Training, enablement takes a lot of time. Creating multiple systems of discrepancies, it's something that is in the nature of finding a new tool. So who uses here Salesforce as an example? Everybody, that amazing company, shitty product. But who uses like a Plan Hat or a Catalyst or Gainsight or something? Okay, now you have the revenue there and you have the revenue there. There's a discrepancy and nobody knows what's going on, and then the management are upset and nobody knows how to report, and so on and so forth. That's classic. And the last piece of it, obviously, is cost. So these are kind of the things that we did so far. Now, Oren, don't say anything. Who said insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result? You guys are so smart. Amazing. Which is true, or they say it's true. Nobody knows if you really said that, but it doesn't matter. It's a good thing for a presentation. And it is true. We are trying to do the same things over and over again. But in the past few years, there's a new wave of technologies, right? Whether it's AI, LLM, machine learning, and so on and so forth, but also a different way of thinking, okay? So I want to introduce a concept that we like to call augmented system of record. This is not to replace your Salesforce. Don't worry, we're not going to add more work on your hands, but I want you to be a bit more open and try to think about it and think if the new approach of what you're going to do in the next few years is something that will make sense to you. So this is our classic CRM integration, okay? Some of you guys are better than this, some of you guys are worse than this, some of you guys change this all the time. But let's say I'm in CS, I'm in sales, I want to know what's going on with my client. So I need to go to my CRM because it has some data, obviously very important data, and I might push different things. I'll push the latest emails. I might have 5 emails or 50 emails in that, which is super hard to go and scroll through and read everything. And then tons of other information will not be there, whether it will be my recording, my summaries, different types of reporting. The usage is a big thing, like the usage is in Snowflake or Mixpanel. How can I get that? So things are kind of broken. And every company does, like, it's kind of the holy grail, right? You want to get to a point where your CRM is 100% accurate, everything is in Salesforce, everybody has whatever they need, which is super hard to do. The augmented system of record, using a different concept altogether. It means that you connect everything to that augmented system of record based on machine learning, LLM, AI, you can name it whatever you want. It doesn't matter because we want to talk about function, not about actual technology. So you connect everything. And regardless what you can connect your Monday, Jira, ClickUp, and Asana if you run projects there, which is, by the way, a true story that we have tons of clients that manages same project in the same pretty much tools, just different UI because everybody has their preference. You connect your dashboard, you can connect all your databases and the usage, everything you can imagine, right? So Jenny just explained us how when she launches a product, she needs to have tons of things, and there's a release, there's a PowerPoint, and there's a card battle of how we compare to clients or competitors and so on and so forth. What if we can connect everything to that augmented system of record, and then when we want to know what's going on with my client, I can just get that information because everything is there. Now, this actually exists, and we can talk about it later on, but this is the future. So if you think about how you want to take your team, your company, and move them much faster, you should start thinking about these type of technologies. And what is the status of my client is just one thing. Because one person can ask, I want to get a report of my sales executive. What did they do last month? I want to know how many meetings this CS person had. I want to know what was said in that conversation. Whatever you want. I want to do a pipeline review, but I want to do something different. You can do whatever you want because it's flexible. So if you want to compare today versus tomorrow, and I don't know if this has been videotaped or not, but if so, record that and you'll see that I'll be right in a few years. This is the future and this is where everybody's heading because what we're doing today is just not sustainable. If you look at the different aspects with the classic versus augmented is, if you think about integration, for example, super challenging. You always need tech support for that, which is a pain in the butt. And an augmented system, obviously, as you see in the green line, it's very easy. The use cases, so you got to configure different things all the time. So it's a very high effort, mostly from the team that sits here. Where in an augmented system, you can deploy AI agent, and you can, in some cases, you can say, build me an agent that will do A, B, and C. And it will just work if everything is connected properly. Where's the bottleneck? RevOps versus the imagination of the team. Like, ask yourself, do you really want to essentially help every manager in every part of the company get the data they need, or you want to help them think strategically about what they're doing, how they're selling, what's the right way to do, what else do we need to do? Enablement. So every new tool, every new thing that we're doing today requires training, ongoing sessions, ongoing support, which is a pain in the butt, where you can just simplify and streamline things. So if you guys can use ChatGPT or Perplexity or whatever, Claude or whatever you guys are using, you can probably use an augmented system of record. It's that simple. And the last piece of it, in terms of perspective, instead of having different teams using different tools, then you got to argue about different things, you just have one tool to rule them all. So if Jenny wants to know, okay, what's the 3 things that clients complain the most, or who are the 3 competitors that we have, or whatever she wants to get, she can just get it from one place. If I'm in customer success and I'm going to jump on a call, I want to know what's the usage of my client in, let's say, Blink product or something like that. I can just ask it and get the answer. So I would know exactly what is the usage without me texting somebody and Slack, hey, it's always start with hey, right? It's never the actual question. And then he will get the answer and say, oh, no, it will take me an hour. I'm in a meeting. It takes time and so on and so forth. No. Think about how much time your CS team spends on preparing for a QBR. 4 hours, 5 hours, how many people they need to be involved in the process. It's unbelievable. You can probably do that in 30 seconds or 1 minute. So this was the comparison, and like I said, it might look like science fiction today, but trust me, this is where the world is right now, and this is where you guys need to think as you move forward and incorporate different things and solutions in your organizations. Questions? Yeah. Okay, so there are 2 questions. One, how easy are integrations, whether it's through the API? The answer is yes. The second question is, do I still need to put things into the system of record and so on? And the answer is no. I think that part of the things that we see across the industry is that people spend a lot of time in doing what we call business process automation. So you finish a call, you got to write down a summary, and you put it in a specific field in Salesforce. And if not, your manager is upset on you, and their manager is upset on them, and nobody knows what's going on. In reality, in an augmented system of record, that shouldn't happen. Because if you sent an email to the client with a summary, or you wrote something in an internal group on Slack, or Slack Connect with the client, or you put it somewhere in a doc or whatever, it's already tagged in the system. You don't even need to think about where you put it. And I think this is part of it, right? Because how much time we spend on chasing people and say, oh, but we decided that this would be the process or that would be the process. Let salespeople and CS people and everybody work the way they want to work. Just make sure that you can tap into different places. So I think it's, regarding what you asked, is the exact opposite. It's part of the solutions into how stop chasing people to put things within their CRM. Yep.
Which is some of the tools that you can clone, so you can ask the same question, each one of them will get a different answer. How do you make sure that, like, such solution, you get a one source of truth?
That's a great question. He asked, if you ask the same question to Claude 2 times, you might get 2 different answers, which is true and funny. Funny story, I asked ChatGPT, who's the founder of Jigsaw.io, and he said Oren, who leads marketing here. And I said, no, this is wrong. He said, oh, it's Tomer Nave and Oren. And I was like, and Tomer Nave is co-founder. I was like, no. Oh, I said, so what does Shani do? Oh, you're right. Shani is also a co-founder. So we have 3 co-founders, and Oren just got promoted. So it is true. I think you should think about things differently. LLM, amazing technology, made a huge revolution in what we do. The way it is right now, it's not suited for work. So when I talk about augmented system of record, I'm not talking about LLM as an algorithm suite. It can be a combination of simple queries, can be a combination of business logic, automation. It can be a combination of machine learning and LLM and so on and so forth. And I think this is the number one goal. So when you ask a question, when you ask a report, it's 100% correctly. Whether you do it through a system or you do it through Salesforce, it should be the exact same thing. Again, I promised Ilan not to do shameless plug here, so I won't talk about what our company does, but this is part of why you have companies like us, in a sense. But the idea is that you have accurate information and not just fluff, because we don't have time for fluff. Any other questions? Yeah. So you ask about, is an augmented system of record can help you get the intent of the client whenever they're ready and so on. So that opens a bigger conversation about insights as a whole. Let's call what you just said an insight, a specific insight, but it is an insight. So I think if you look at where the technology is right today, so if I'm using ChatGPT or Claude or whatever to my personal needs, it's very easy, right? Because it's not really, there's no right and wrong. In the business scape, if you did something wrong, you're going to get fired. So that's different type of thing. I feel that what this technology bring to the table is not the ability to think instead of you, it's just enabling you the ability to ask the right question. So I'll give an example. So let's say you, because you're experienced in your company, you know what is a good intent for an upsell. You're saying a client is 3 months before renewal, their usage is year over year 30% up. So that's kind of you don't need to be, a scientist to know that. That's what the company knows it is. You can easily create an agent that will be plugged to this augmented system record and say, every time there's a client that is 3 months before renewal and that is whatever usage is this and that, ping me on Slack, email, or whatever. You can do that. But the thing is, and I think this is what I'm trying to say, you can do that in automation today, right? You can have Workato, you can connect to it. I'm sure Leo can do it in her sleep. But this is not the point. Why? Because what you just described is just something you think of today. But next week, you'll say, oh, that's actually not good. Because I also wanted just in EMEA, because in APAC, it's different. And usage could be different product and so on and so forth. So I think it's more about flexibility. So, because you guys can do everything. You can connect any tool anywhere. You can use Workato, Zapier, Connect, you have CRM, you have everything. It's not about that. It's how easy it is, how fast it is, and how flexible it is over time, if that makes sense. Yep. Any other questions? Sure.
Presented like the classic as today and then the augmented as tomorrow. And I'm wondering just where you see like the obstacles to that tomorrow sort of coming today. So like, is it the technology, is it the mindset, is it the combination, is it other factors?
So I'll just say it really fast because time's up. A lot of it is thinking. So people are used to do what they're doing, and it's very hard to think differently about things. And actually, this is why I'm here, to talk about that, and so people can challenge what they're doing today. I think there are some technical challenges to get there. Again, I don't want to speak about what we do, but this is exactly why we started the company. But I have no doubt in my mind that if you use ChatGPT, you're saying, oh, fuck, I want to use that in my work environment. It goes without saying, and this is just part of it. I had one more slide, but I'll say it out loud. We have a mini game and a gift for everybody here. So if you look beneath your seats, there are pieces of puzzle. And like I said, we're jigsaw puzzle. So if somebody doesn't have it in the back rows, we have ones in the front because we thought everybody would sit in the front because we're stupid. But whoever connects the puzzle, there are just 2 pieces of the puzzle. If you can't do that, that's not my problem. But if you do, there's a gift in the shape of a bottle of amazing wine waiting for you in the back. Yeah, that's 2 bottles. Every one is 2 bottles. Thank you.